They arrested her in broad daylight, hands behind her back, crowd watching, cameras out. The charge sounded simple enough: impersonating a Navy SEAL. She didn't resist, didn't argue, didn't even look surprised. She stood there, calmly, a woman in worn tactical pants and a plain jacket, as military police tightened the cuffs. To everyone watching, she looked like someone who had gone too far, someone playing soldier without earning the right. But there was something about the way she stood. Straight, balanced, alert. This wasn't arrogance. This was discipline. The incident had started minutes earlier at the naval base checkpoint. She'd tried to enter using an old access route, one no longer listed on public maps. When questioned, she'd given only a name and a quiet statement: "I'm here on operational business." That was enough to trigger suspicion. Civilians didn't talk like that. And when they searched her bag, they found it: a piece of gear no civilian should ever carry. That's when the arrest happened. Now, as she was escorted across the base, officers whispered, some smirked, some shook their heads. Another fake, another pretender. But across the yard, a visiting general had just stepped out of a command vehicle. He wasn't paying attention to the arrest until his eyes caught something familiar, something wrong. As she was pushed forward, the jacket shifted slightly. For half a second, the general saw it. Not a weapon, not a badge, a piece of equipment clipped in a very specific way. The general stopped walking. His expression changed, not to anger, not to confusion, but to recognition. Because there were rules about that item, unwritten rules. Only operators carried it like that. Only those who had been inside the wire and come back. "Hold her," the general said sharply. Everyone froze. The woman slowly lifted her eyes for the first time. They met his, steady, unreadable. The general took a step closer. "Who trained you?" he asked quietly. She didn't answer right away. Then she said something that made the air feel heavy. "With respect, sir, you did." And in that moment, the charge of impersonation began to fall apart. The general raised a hand. The military police stopped instantly, confusion spreading across their faces. One of them started to speak, but the general silenced him with a glance. "Remove the cuffs," he ordered. The click of metal echoed as the restraints fell away. The woman rubbed her wrists once, then stood exactly as she had before, calm, controlled, unbroken. The general studied her closely now, not like an officer questioning a suspect, but like a commander confirming something he had hoped was impossible. "You shouldn't exist," he said quietly. She gave a small nod. "That's what the paperwork says, sir." They moved away from the crowd into a secured side corridor. The whispers behind them grew louder, but no one dared follow. "I watched you clip that device," the general said as they walked. "Angle, placement, retention strap. Only one program teaches that." She didn't smile, because only one program needed it. The general stopped. His voice dropped. "Black Shore Unit, Provisional SEAL Operations, shut down 12 years ago." "Yes, sir." "You were declared non-operational, no discharge, no honors, no record." "I was ordered to disappear, and I followed the order." The general clenched his jaw. He remembered the unit, hand-picked operators sent into missions too sensitive to acknowledge. If they succeeded, silence. If they failed, denial. "Why come back now?" he asked. She looked down the corridor toward the secure wing of the base. "Because someone used a Black Shore access code," she said, "and civilians don't have those." The general's eyes sharpened. That code had been buried with the unit. "They're hunting ghosts," she continued, "and they started with me." A distant alarm chirped once, then cut off. The general exhaled slowly. "You know what bringing you back means." She met his gaze. "It means the cover story is cracking." A junior officer rushed toward them, tablet in hand. "Sir, we just had a restricted system ping. No breach, but—" "I know," the general said. "Lockdown level 3. He turned back to her. "You were arrested as a fake, but if you're here, then something we buried is alive again." She adjusted her jacket slightly, the operator's habit impossible to hide. "Then we're already late, sir." The general nodded once, because if Blackshore was moving again, this time there would be no hiding it.
Level 3 sealed itself with a heavy mechanical groan. Red indicators lit the corridor walls as personnel were quietly diverted away. Officially, it was a systems test. Unofficially, the base had just gone dark to everyone who didn't need to know. The general walked beside her, matching her pace without realizing it. "You were the youngest in Blackshore," he said, "fastest on record." She didn't respond. She was counting cameras, exit angles, blind spots. "They called you Echo 6, the general continued. "You vanished after the Karakoram insertion." She stopped. "That wasn't an insertion, it was a burn." The memories surfaced without warning. Thin air, radio silence, friendly assets turning hostile. Blackshore had been sent to extract intel that never existed. The real mission was denial. Make noise, draw attention, disappear. "We lost 5 operators that night," the general said quietly. She corrected him without hesitation. 7. The general looked at her sharply. He hadn't known that. "They pulled support," she went on, then erased the after-action report. "The enemy didn't kill Blackshore, command did." They reached a secured terminal room. She knelt, bypassing a panel with practiced ease. The screen flickered, revealing hidden activity buried under routine traffic. "There, ghost routing." The general frowned. "Internal?" "Yes, someone's piggybacking on our own systems. Same technique we used overseas." She stood, eyes hard. "They're not testing defenses, they're staging." A soft alert blinked on the screen, an incoming packet from an encrypted node. The general felt a chill. What are they waiting for? She tilted her head, listening as if the building itself were speaking. "For me to leave, or for you to deny I was ever here." The alert turned red. Unauthorized movement, armory adjacent sector. The general straightened. "If this becomes public, they'll blame impersonation, say I fooled you." He met her eyes. "Not this time." She reached into her jacket and removed the item that had started it all, the operator-only device. She placed it in his hand. "If I don't come back," she said, "this proves I was real." The general closed his fingers around it. "Echo 6, stand by." She gave a brief nod, already moving toward the shadows, because the mission that erased her once was about to be finished on her terms. She moved through the armory sector like a memory the base didn't want to remember. Lights dimmed automatically as she passed. Sensors hesitated, recognizing patterns they weren't programmed to question. Blackshore habits, old code, still alive. 2 figures appeared ahead, masked as maintenance staff. Wrong posture, wrong spacing. Echo 6 didn't slow. The first went down silently. The second reached for a concealed weapon. Too late. In seconds, both were disarmed, pinned, breathing, but finished. She checked their gear. Foreign make, domestic access. Someone had merged the two. A voice crackled in her ear, low, controlled. "Echo 6, this is Command Actual. Status." She paused. The general had broken protocol to use that call sign. "Threat contained," she replied. But this wasn't the strike. It was a cleanup. Cleanup for what? For exposure. She reached the secured terminal they'd been guarding. One final bypass, one final confirmation. Blackshore hadn't been erased. It had been repurposed. Operators like her had been cut loose, while the doctrine was sold, copied, and quietly reused without oversight. The general's voice tightened. Then the arrest wasn't an accident. "No, sir," she said. "It was a test to see if anyone remembered the rules." Footsteps echoed.
Security teams rushed in, weapons lowered when they saw her standing calmly among the subdued intruders. The general arrived moments later, eyes taking in everything at once. "You were never impersonating," he said. "You were verifying." She handed him a data chip. "Everything you need. If it disappears, so will I." He met her gaze. "Not this time." By morning, the incident was classified under internal threat neutralization. No charges, no headlines, no apology. Echo 6 stood at the gate, ready to leave as she always had. The general stopped her. "You could come back, officially." She shook her head. Blackshore was never official. She turned away. But this time, she wasn't erased, because somewhere deep in the system, her file had been unlocked, and written in clear, undeniable text were the words command could no longer deny.